But in Silicon Valley, they know that Buckley machines work, and they are used to prepare 90% of the world's silicon chips. It dominates the global market for precision electromagnets. These precision electromagnets are used not just to implant the ions that make silicon chips work, they also treat cancer, run security scanners, make solar panels, flat-screen TVs, carbon-date objects, drive the giant particle accelerators at the bleeding edge of physics. Bill is accustomed to moving swiftly, and he is an expert at spotting new markets. When he sees one, he'll work 24/7 to get something to market faster than anybody else can do it. He doesn't have to fill in a form or to request this or that, he just does it. He is the winner of the 2013 World Class New Zealand Manufacturing Design and Innovation Award, and I'm going to have a bit of a chat with Phil now. Phil, what are you doing us up here? I thought I might start by asking you to just show us around what we might see when we go out to your nondescript premises in Onehunga. What have we got here?
They're ion implanting machines to implant the self. This one on this side makes these cell phone screens, and the one on the other side does the iPad screens. So every iPad that's been sold has been made on one of those machines, and this has got one other opposition to it, which we also made as well. We manufacture the beam lines for these ion implantation machines, which is really like the engine and the differential and the gearbox of a car, and OEM companies put the computers on the protective shell around them and make the ion source, which is like a carburetor. That's what that is there.
That machine will put out, we worked out the other night, what was it, a screen a second?
Yeah, that can produce one iPad a second. It does a sheet that's 1.6 metres high and 3 metres long, and then they chop it up to the iPad screens. Yeah.
What you're doing here is astonishingly high precision work, isn't it? Where in all your work, you're working in a field where it's high stakes. It really matters that.
The trick is to get the iron coming out 100% pure, going absolutely dead straight within points of an angstrom, and going at exactly the right speed so it fires itself in and buries it into the substrate that we're burying it into. It's an impurity that's put in to make the gates that operate the pictures on your screen. So we can stop those going into the substrate in split divisions to stop it within. So I can put 200 gates in the width of a human hair. So in the whole 3 dimensions. So that's the critical thing, is to get that uniformity of the beam, and as the computer gets bigger, the magnets have to get bigger to do that job.
And you have this market virtually to yourself, don't you? People have had a go.
Yeah. We as I say, the silicon chip industry, we've got a good 80% grip on that. There's basically one Japanese company that's competing with us, but we're sure we've got the way by the majority. We supply to all but one company that makes these machines that go into Samsung, Intel, and LG, and Foxconn, people like that. And that magnet there, we had that's a 30-ton magnet, and we had to produce that at the rate of 1 a week to try and beat the launch date of the iPad. So so that ran at that speed for about 2 years, and now we're just keeping up with the market as the market grows.
There's a nice bit of money in it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is pretty big. We're talking big dollars, aren't we?
Yeah, that machine's 6 metres long and 3 metres high, 3.5 metres high and 3 metres wide. We had to design it to be able to get it into buildings and things like that. So that was quite an achievement, and be able to put it on a ship. Most of them go out of Tauranga, and yeah.
And you keep, one of the exciting things for people who work with you is that you are always looking at new things, doing new things, and it's not just the same product again and again, is it? You're always looking at other possibilities.
Yeah, no, this machine you can see is sort of square, and with us running and testing that, we came up with a more of a diamond-shaped machine, and that held the magnetic fields much better. So we went from 800 millimetres beam height on this one to 1600, and we're working on a 2.2 to do the super high definition televisions. We've built one prototype machine, and you may see in some of the factories now that some Harvey Normans have got a super screen out now that you can see, which is really super high definition, and that'll be the TV to come. So I think when we have to build those machines, we'll be flat out, yeah. Again.
I think the exciting thing about this is that, you know, we're in this era where in so many respects you talk about mass market and the cost of production being nothing. You're actually working at the other end where the cost is really high, and the value for your work is really high. And it's kind of a connection with that, all those centuries of tradition of the artisans and the guilds who were well paid for their very significant skill, aren't you?
Yeah, we have got nuclear physics guys there. We hire a lot from around the world to help us develop this sort of stuff, and we've got probably the biggest engineering heavy machine shop in the country, and I think we've got some 35 NC machines working 24/7, and some of them are as big as 8 metres long and 3 metres wide and 2 metres tall, old machine. So we're going flat stick here.
What have we got here? What's going on here?
That's a radiotherapy machine for cancer treatment. The patient sits on there, and this head swings right round, and the beam line comes in through this accelerator, which is a tuned RF cavity, and it goes around a magnet 270 degrees and back through, and this is the magnet that's up the top there, and it goes through a set of carbon slits and whatnot that shapes the shape of the tumour, and sort of blasts the tumour, and that's a radiation treatment where they come in from different angles to try and focus on the tumour itself.
What took you into medical in the first place?
Well, this was a customer that came to us with they actually, that magnet up there, they were trying to build themselves, and they just couldn't get it to really perform that well, and they asked us to design and build this magnet for them. So now they're putting that into every one of their machines, and we're making at least one of those a day.
And you're working on photon therapy too?
Yeah. Photon therapy, I think it's on the next slide if you got it. Yeah.
Let's...
No.
The one with the gantry, unfortunately, went AWOL, sorry.
Did they? Well, proton therapy is where we fire an ion of proton into the body, and it explodes when it gets down to a certain speed, and we can change that speed so it explodes right in the tumour itself, and we can go within 0.2 of a millimetre and blow it up in that exact point. So we can map with a MRI. They map the tumour, and then we feed these ions in and explode them right in the right place, so they, it's only a tiny explosion, which is, 0.1 or something of a millimetre, but and then we put one alongside each one until we completely blow the cancer out, and over about 20 treatments of that, the tumour keels over and dies. And and each time you go for that treatment, you actually feel better. Whereas with the other system, you feel a bit worse because it's knocking your body around so much. But this, because it goes through so quickly and a very small thing, it hardly upsets the other tissues. And this is an ion implantation machine for the silicon chip industry. So all these machines on here are different magnets, the full machine takes can take up to about 7 magnets to get the beam. So it does. You've got to accelerate the beam up to a speed and bend it round corners. If you bend an ion beam through a magnetic field, it'll bend at right angles to the field. So, and then you have a slit, so the impurities that are heavier ions than what the ion you're creating get driven into a carbon slit, and the lighter ones go the other side and get buried into that. So the pure ions come out the other side, and that's what we fire into them.
And all of this remarkable stuff that all sort of rests on electromagnetic activity. It all starts with a bet, doesn't it?
Well, when I first thought about going into making magnets, a friend of mine was going to university, and he made a positive polarised ion source, which they only could make negative ones, and he nutted out how to make a positive ion one, and that entailed a few magnets and whatnot, and he was going to university with my brother, and he needed some instrumentation done at his university, and he couldn't get it done quick enough, and he just asked me in a pub if I could make some gadgets for him. And I got keen on that and saw the benefit for it. And then he wanted to make a whole machine, and I went. By then I was working for a company as a manager, and I asked my boss if I could, if we could build this stuff, because we needed to sign a document, and he had signing authority, and he said no, he didn't want to do it. He wanted to stick with what we're doing, and I said, well, we're only doing sort of $1,000 jobs, and I said, oh, I could do them in my backyard. He says, why don't you go and try? So it took me one night to decide that I was going to take him up on his challenge. So that's what I did, and I rushed around, saw my bank manager who knew me because I was always in debt with him and whatnot. But and a few friends, and we got enough money together to have a go, and a lot of the guys that worked for me said that they'd come and work for me because they'd enjoyed working for me there and thought I had some character, and since then we've flourished away, and I went over to America and tried to force my way into the bigger jobs, and I even went to Canada, and they wanted to make some magnets for a light source, and I said, I'd like to make them for you, but you're not making them the right way. And they said they knew all about it, and they had I let them go to it and have a crack at it. And when the Australian synchrotron was being established, they had been at that lecture, and they rang me up and said, we'd love you to help us with our light source. So I looked at it, and we worked out a price and whatnot, and we beat the guys that made the Canadian one by about $100,000 in about 8 million contracts. So we built it, and we had it running and we had light out of it before the Canadian one, and the Canadians had 3 years start on us. And getting the light out of a light source is quite a trick to be able to do. So the fact that we got light out of ours as soon as we switched it on made us well known in the research industries.
What's the secret to that? Why do you think you were able to win that, and what is it that consistently makes you do it so successfully?
Well, it's understanding how the ion source works and the magnetics, and being able to, we've set up test equipment to be able to just do that, and then the fine machining, know where you have to put your effort in to make it all at a reasonable price and all that.
It's a marvellous accomplishment, Bill. We salute you for what you've done, and I think you'll be joining us again a little later on for the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill Buckley, everybody.